Christ. Side, 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 side. Yes. Show me wax on, wax off. That! 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 Show me paint fence. That! 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 Show me side to side. That! 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 Show me sand or floor. That! 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 Yes! That! That! Oi. Hey, look, I. Always look, I. Come back tomorrow.
All right. So for those who don't know, that's one of my favorite movies and clips of all time. And I'd love to hear real quick, just takeaways as you saw that. What resonated immediately? I hope something did, especially after our conversations yesterday.
Yeah, so for me, it took away where the things you may be doing now seem pointless, for lack of better terms. They don't. It's hard to see what the end goal is, but until you tie everything together and use everything that you learned all at once, that's when it becomes useful for every part that you need it for.
Okay.
And so yeah, that's what I got.
All right. Awesome. What else?
Even in so Grant, I guess, and even in these like last 6 months that I've really been working Cutco and like meeting a bunch of new people, I've learned skills like the soft skills, I guess, and that's stuff I think is going to serve me for the rest of my life. And for me, it was just like, oh, I'm going to make some extra money, you know. And now it's something that I'm super excited for, and I'm actually pushing for, and I've grown so much through that, and being able to use the things I've learned through getting to talk to all these people and kind of just the like proactiveness of it, I guess. Like you have to wake up in the morning, you have to make your calls, which is something that school doesn't do a very good job teaching us. And this is something that is really cool to experience. So yeah.
All right, cool. What else?
It reminds me of how like as a new rep, you go and you have questions and you're working, you ask your manager and you expect a certain answer and you don't get that answer, and sometimes you're like, man, I know better than that. I'm gonna go do this instead, right? And a lot of times when we're learning, it doesn't make sense to us at the beginning. But if we trust in our managers and in our coaches, we see a lot of times they're teaching us stuff not just because they didn't know what to say, right? They did it for a reason. And at the end of the day, if we actually do that, most of the time we're going to see results that we didn't think we were going to see because we can't see the other side. They've been there, they've done that, they've seen the other side of this. They're not just telling you it for no reason, guys. So listen to your managers, listen to your coaches. They want what's best for you, and they're going to do everything they can to coach you in the right way. So that's what I took away.
And that's great, Jacqueline. You know, I think about when I remember being a younger manager and asking my mentor for help. And I remember one time I had a coaching call and I asked him, like, what do I do with this? And he goes, that's a great question. He's like, what do you do? What do you think you do? And I was like, I asked you that, right? And I was like so frustrated, and I'm like, why am I paying this guy, to help me when he just like flips it around and asks me what I asked him? Like, obviously I don't know the answer. That's why I asked him, right? But one of the things that he was working on with me was critical thinking, right? And really making sure that I was shaping and training my mind to find solutions. And that's a really great skill set to have, when you're able to be like, okay, let me look at the situation. How can we fix this? Or how can we do that? Right. Whatever it might be. But with this, with this clip specifically, and, I always love to hear what people take from it. The big thing is like, sometimes when you're going through something, you don't know what you're learning. Like sometimes like there are things that we're doing and they're preparing us for the next level. They're preparing us for whatever might be, but we might not know that, and And so just being able to think about, again, what am I, like, how am I growing through this? What am I learning? Like, what are the lessons here? What's the good in this, right? That we were talking about yesterday, of just like everything has an ability to make us stronger, to grow us, to expand us, when we go through most stuff. And I know that there's some people on this call that have some different things going on personally. I know that right now there's challenges that are happening outside of Cutco in your personal life, and it's not easy. And here's what I know: the more we go through, the more, like, if we choose to grow through stuff, like, that just means there's bigger things coming. It's like almost life preparing us, right? And expanding us to make sure that we can handle the next big thing that's coming. All right. And so for whatever crazy reason, that's just kind of like how life tests us to see if we deserve what's on the other side. And it's a reminder I've had to keep for myself right now, like day in, day out. I'm like, all right, I don't know what it is, but I know it's going to be exciting, because holy crap, did we have to grow through some stuff right now? And but I know, and it's just like, and I know it, but I'm feeling it now as well, because of taking time to be in the morning, because of taking time for visualization, for meditation, like making sure that I have that time for myself, but also knowing that there's like very real tools that are, again, so simple, and we're gonna tie it all together at the end and next week. And so we're going through stuff every day, but I wanted to talk about today was the power of changing your state, right? And how to do that. And it's real simple. And so what we're going to do is we're going to watch a really quick excerpt from Tony Robbins, the man teaching it himself. And then we're going to talk through this right afterwards, because this is something I want you guys implementing effective immediately this morning. Something that you guys can carry throughout your day, that at any given time of the day, we can put into practice and really change the energy we're bringing to something or how we're feeling. And so I'm going to put this on real quick, and then we're going to chat about this. But please take a couple notes on this, okay? Because this is huge. And again, something that will prepare you guys for later. So make sure you guys can hear.
This could be the greatest time you ever live if you control what you focus on, if you find a more empowering meaning, and if you decide to model the actions of those who succeeded before you. It can be the best financial time, the best emotional time, the best spiritual time of your life, but you better take control of your state. And if you think you're going to do it just by today, you're wrong. You're going to need to get yourself some rituals. Right now, every one of you in this room is controlled by your rituals. I don't just mean this one. I mean, every morning you get up. I know your body. I can look at your body right now, and I can guess your rituals. Some of you, your rituals to work out 5 times a week, I can see it clearly. 4 to 6 times a week, it's obvious. Because you couldn't look like that if you didn't do that. Some form of workout. I don't care if it's walking, lifting, whatever. Some of you, it's obvious that lifting weights is part of it. You can see by that man's muscles. I know what his rituals are, because your life comes from your rituals. If you don't develop the ritual, you're kidding yourself. How many agree with me on this? Raise your hand, say I. And there are rituals that put you in state, and there are rituals that take you out of state. You have rituals in your relationship, you have rituals with your body, you have rituals around your finances, and the rituals that worked in the reaping time of fall in the markets and in business and in real estate, those rituals won't work now. If you do the right thing at the wrong time, you get pain. I'll say that again. If you do the right, you go, but Tony, I'm doing the right thing, but I'm not being rewarded. If you do the right thing at the wrong time, you don't get rewarded, you get pain. So you better do the right thing at the right time. And to do that, you better know what season you're in. And to do that, you better learn how to change your state, how to take control of your own conditioning. That's what I live for. Does this make sense to you? Yes or no? Come on, guys. Yes or no?
Yeah.
So now it's time to train yourself to do that. I'll show you how fast it can change. Try this just for a second. I want to show you what you can do with just focus. Try this for a moment. I'm going to give you a test. Sit up in your chair with some energy. Make sure your buddy next to you is in a strong state. If otherwise, adjust their state. Come on, change their physiology. What do they got to do? See if they're ticklish. That might help. Now do this. I want you to look around this room right now and find everything in this room that you can find that is brown as fast as you can. Look for brown, look for brown, look for brown, look for brown. Look around you, look for brown, look for brown, look for brown. Okay, close your eyes. I'm going to give you a test. With your eyes closed now, shout out loud everything you saw that was red. If you see a lot more brown right now than red, say yes.
Yeah.
Open your eyes. Look for red now. I want you to really look for red. Look for red. Look for red. Look for red. Anything you can find that's red, look for red. All around you, look for red. Raise your hand if you found more red this time and say I. Why did you find more red this time? Because seek and you shall. That's right. Whatever you focus on, you're going to find it. In fact, let me tell you something. You'll even find it when it's not there. How many saw burgundy, called it red, just so you could have more things you counted? Raise your hand. Say I. Come on. See, whatever you're looking for, you're going to find. So if you want to change your life, my friends, you got to change your physiology and you got to change your focus. By the way, how fast can you change that stuff? How fast, my friends? How fast? How fast? Come on. In a heartbeat, once you rechange your conditioning, that's all you got to do. And you can do it fast. You can do it with a question or two. Try this right now. Answer this question in your mind and be honest. What in your life today, if you wanted to be, could you feel proud about right now?
Mm.
If you wanted to feel proud, if you didn't feel like, I shouldn't be proud, if you wanted to feel proud, what could you be proud of in your life today? Your children, your health, your body. Is there a problem you faced? Instead of running from it, you finally stepped up and handled it? What could you feel proud of in your life today if you wanted to feel proud? How many can think of something? And when you think about this thing you're proud of, what about that makes you feel proud? What do you focus on that makes you feel proud? How do you breathe when you really start to feel proud? What's the kind of look on your face that starts to happen when you let yourself feel proud? Yeah. How's that feel? Think of another area of your life. Think of an area of your life that you're grateful for. Or if you go, I'm not grateful. If you wanted to be grateful, what's an area you could feel grateful for? What could you feel grateful for if you really wanted to feel grateful? How many can think of something you can feel grateful for? Let me see your hands. And what about that are you grateful for? What do you focus on that makes you feel grateful? How does it feel when you're really, truly feeling filled with gratitude? Here's one. If you wanted to be excited about your life right now, and you were willing to be excited, you're willing to buck everybody else's trend, what could you feel excited about in your life if you wanted to feel excited? What could you get excited about if you really focused on it and you really took it in? And you weren't in a negative place. What could you get excited about if you wanted to be excited in your life? What could you get excited about? How many of you can think of something you feel excited about right now? Raise your hand. Let me see your hand. Say I. When you're really excited about it, what about that excites you? Or when you're really excited, how do you feel? How do you speak? What's your life like? By the way, when you're excited, does it tend to touch other people? Yes or no?
Yep.
Absolutely. By the way, do people have a tendency, by the way, who feels different right now than just even a couple moments ago? Raise your hand and say I.
Yep.
Why? Because focus is controlled by questions. If you ask a different question continuously, not once, continuously, you will get a different answer. If you ask a lousy question, you get a lousy answer and a lousy state. Somebody says, why does this always happen to me?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't always happen to you, but the brain's like a computer. Ask it a question, it'll have to come up with an answer because you deserve it, you idiot. Someone will say, how come I can never lose weight? You can lose weight, but if you keep saying, how come I can never lose weight, the brain's got to come and answer. It goes, you're a pig. Lousy questions create what? Lousy answers. Ask a better question, get a better answer. Now here's what I want you to get. I want you to get that you can change your state. How fast, guys? How fast? How fast? And if you get the habit of doing it, you'll have a different life.
All right. So just a little teaser for y'all. And we're working on a group of us actually getting a chance to go to Tony Robbins together in Dallas in November. But I would tell you guys, just the work since, I was exposed to Tony Robbins in my probably close to 20 years ago, in my first year or so with Cutco. And it was more of just his book, videos, that I had started seeing, and I was like, whoa, you know, like this was so different than anything I'd ever seen or grown up with, right? Like I think I was programmed to think that this is you have to be grateful, right? Absolutely, with what you've got. But it was like, if you ever think about having anything more or doing anything bigger or doing whatever, it meant that you weren't satisfied with what you had, right? Like you were ungrateful. Like that's how it was programmed into my head, was thinking bigger, having big goals, wanting more, and not in a gluttonous way, right? But just like wanting more for our lives, like wanting a chance to like do great things, go and travel, spend time with family, like give back, like stuff that my family couldn't necessarily always do because of restrictions with time or money, right? And time because they had to work to make money, right? To pay the bills, to keep us afloat. And so this was something that for me, as I was at first, it was a little bit scary, you know, I was like, oh man, is this okay? Like, I feel like this is like anti, like what I've been taught. And all of a sudden, if I start thinking bigger about possibilities for my life and what could be, then I'm just like, you know, an ungrateful person, right? But as I kept hearing and learning, there were like so many things that resonated for me, you know, and one of the things Tony talks about is like how to change your state, right? And you just heard about one of them, right? Which is what you focus on. But there's three things that he talks about, the triad, that if you change any one of these three things at any given moment, you can change your state. But if you want to change it at a more high, like at a higher level, right? You want to change it faster, stronger, get from here to here versus here to here. If you incorporate all, right? If you incorporate two, it's a little bit higher. If you incorporate all three, it's the highest. All right. So what's the first one? He just talked about. What's the first one? Focus, right? What are you focusing on? And I shared with you guys these last couple of days, like this destroyed me this past year as I kept focusing on all the problems we were having with this construction project. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're going to do this. And like, why is this happening? And, you know, just asking shitty questions. Okay. Like that, like straight up, it's just like what it is. And asking those shitty questions kept me in that space, right? And it was like, it took a little time for me to all of a sudden step away and go, what am I doing? Because I know the power of this, right? But again, we're human. And that's why it's important that you have accountability, right? That you have mentors, that you have people that can see your blind spots, that can challenge you when they see like, hey, what's going on, right? Or like, you're not where you need to be. And so for me, you know, through the network of like women I have, through incredible friends that I have, you know, through Go Abundance, I'm very blessed to have people that can give me a checkup from the neck up, right? And keep me going. And I think I hid from some of those people part of last year because I just, you know, I was afraid of what they'd say or what they think or where it would take me. And I literally, you know, I was talking to a friend of mine about this, and I said, I feel like I literally went back like 20 years, you know. I said it was such a wild experience, but I share this because I want to make sure you guys know, just because you learn something once, just because you know, just because you have the right tools, doesn't mean everything's going to be great forever. Everyone understand that? Like, that's just not how it goes. Because again, we're human beings. But knowing that our focus, like what we're focusing on. And so if you had something shitty happen, which who here has ever had something shitty happen? Raise your hand. All right. If you're focused on what happened, then it's not going to bring any good. It actually is going to attract and help us find more bad. And how he was talking about like what you're focused on, you see more of it, right? And so if you're like, oh my God, this is not good, and then you see this is not good and this is not good, like the filter you're looking through, the glasses you're wearing are shit not going well. And so you see more of that versus we talked about yesterday, who here has been through something that what's challenging. We're going to talk Monday more about obstacles, adversity, things like that. But like you've been through something, but you grew through it. You learn and raise your hand and you're like, man, like I became stronger because of this. I learned this about myself or whatever. By the way, that's a choice you make to go, how do I grow through this? What can I learn from this? Right? Like it's a choice. It's an intentional thing that does not naturally happen for human beings. Naturally, we want to bitch and complain about what's not happening or what is happening. And versus going, wow, like, look at where this led me. Wow. You know, and I remember in a conversation that I had with Spencer. I said, wow, I can already see like where this is going to play such a huge role and such a big part in our story as we continue to impact millions, you know, around the world in years to come. And it's something that, you know, I've chosen to use as a growth for myself, right? And just a stepping stone for myself to get to that next level, right? And I think about the most successful people in the world. That is just a habit of stacking, you know, like how do you get to the top? All this crap that you've grown through, you know, like now you use those suckers as stepping stones versus them being stumbling blocks, right? So that's the first thing, is focus. Number two, the second thing that Tony teaches and talks about when it comes to changing your state is to change your language. All right. Change your language. So what you're actually saying, right? So what am I focused on? And then what am I actually saying? So that's important. The words that you're using, right? And so are they empowering? Or are they really putting others or yourself down, right? Like what is happening? What choice of words do you have? And I catch myself all the time. I'm like, nope, you know, and like, let me rephrase that, right? And it's a training and it's a conditioning until it just becomes so hardwired in you, right? And so it's really important. And that's a big part, and we're going to be talking about later with just being able to like manifest and create beautiful things in your life and attract more of it. Is the language is one of the most important freaking things in order to, you know, bring more of that and see what. So we've got focus, you've got language, and the third piece of this is physiology. Okay, and what is physiology? Body movement. Okay. And so whatever you're doing with your body. So you guys have seen this and you've heard people like Michael and Zetta's talked about this, right? You slouch or whatever. What does that do? Your physiology when you're like this, right? Is like be sad, be depressed, right? You can do it with your body. And we've physically done, and I know there's a couple of new guys on here, but for those who have been here, you know, we've done exercises, like literally working with physiology, right? Who here's ever done the Superman pose? Raise your hand if you've done the Superman pose, right? All right, that's also working with physiology, right? You're just like, just standing up, smile on your face, you know, like arms out, and like what that does for you, just like, I got this, right? Like I can conquer it all. I'm freaking Superwoman, let's go, right? Or Superman, whoever you want to be. You can be anything. So, you know, what are you doing with your physiology? And so let's say we're going through something's happening, or maybe you're really frustrated in a conversation or something going on. You know, it's okay with your lover or your best friend or your parent to say, I need to go for a quick walk and just clear my head, you know, so that we can have a good quality conversation. Because going on that walk, you're changing your physiology and it's going to help you change your state, right? You might have been like, duh, and if you stay there in that moment, you were just going to be battling it out in the who's right game, right? Versus if I take a moment and I step back, and instead of focusing on who's right or wrong, right? Like I'm not going to focus on that, because who here, when you're in a disagreement, has just been focusing on why you're right? Raise your hand. Who's ever done that? Like that's natural human being behavior, by the way. And so for you to step back and go, I wonder like where the disconnect was here, right? Or I wonder like, if I came across when I did this, if I came across like that, and like all of a sudden stepping back, instead of focusing on, well, I'm right, you're never going to go anywhere. All of a sudden you can really change the energy of a whole situation. So this is not just with you, but just like with things happening, going, you know what, I wonder like what could have happened, right? And this goes to emotional intelligence. Like that is being able to step away from a situation and being able to see perspectives from all different angles, or at least having curiosity to want to see what might be happening. Why might they be seeing it? What angle might they be seeing it from? All right. Again, that's not natural human wiring. That's something that is intentional conditioning for you to start looking at things from different angles, right? And so in that moment where I might be in a heated conversation or we're arguing, I say, you know what, like, I really want to take a walk. I think it'd be really good to just like stand up and move outside. Like, let's take this conversation outside, honey, so we can just take a deep breath and really talk through. I really want to work through here and understand why you're feeling that way, right? Or whatever it might be. And we're going to talk about, having quality conversations and conflict resolution. And you're going to be learning about a lot of this stuff. But, step one is you've got to bring yourself to a place where you can have a great conversation, right? If this is the scenario that we're talking about. So it could be going for a run, right? It could be doing some jumping jacks. I saw Joey the other day doing push-ups in the office during the phone jam. All right. That is actually a great way to change your state, right? So I'm sitting, I'm making calls. I'm like, doing my sales calls, and I'm feeling my energy decline, or I'm feeling frustrated with something. Get up, do some jumping jacks, do some push-ups. All right. There is a physiological change that's happening. And by the way, when you're actually doing exercise, you're also releasing, different endorphins and serotonin. And, I don't know all the science of that, but you're releasing things that make you happier, right? And so this is something that really, really impacts you physically, also impacts you emotionally, and also impacts you mentally. Got it? And so really thinking about those different areas. So again, anytime you're like, man, I want to change my state. So I remember we were at health and wealth mastery, all right, with Tony Robbins. And I remember when we got there, so I hadn't done any of the pre-work because I don't know what I was doing, but I was in, this was a last minute thing that my buddy called me and said, they have an extra spot. I talked to them because I wasn't supposed to go to this until a year later. And he said, they have a spot, and I put your name in, and he worked with the Tony Robbins company. And he said, you're coming with me to Naples. Let's go. I was like, huh? So I was not ready, and I never read anything about it. Right. And so I get there, and they're doing registration. They're serving lunch. I grab, and it's all living food. I was like, oh, cool. Had a nice big salad with avocado, and I'm sitting there, eating. And then after we ate, they said, this is your last meal. And I was like, what? Or maybe people knew before, but I didn't. Right. And they said, we'll be moving into, and apparently, so long story short, 5-day cleanse. Cool. So during this actual seminar, we're not going to eat actual food. We'll have broths, they'll give us smoothies, they'll give us juices, but it was a liquid diet for the next 5 days, and very small amounts, by the way, not here's a smoothie like you're at Smoothie King. It was like a cup this big, half of it filled. Here's your smoothie, very little bits. And so by the second or third day, and they had told us you're going to get grumpy, right? You're going to have headaches. And you're going to have different things because your body is used to consuming this food or having this caffeine or having, whatever it might be. So you will feel it, right? And so second day, or I can't remember exactly which day, Tony actually pulled out this sheet, which I'm dying to locate. And it's in one of my books in my storage, but it had a line, right, being neutral. And then it had below the line energies, right? Which were tired, exhausted is deeper than that, sad, angry is definitely more negative. Rage is even more negative, right? So it had all those, and then it had above, right? Calm, happy, joyful, excited, ecstatic, but it had all these different words that psychologists had put together in terms of being one level up from each other or one level down from each other. Everyone with me? All right. And so at whatever part of the day, he was like, all right, I want you all right now to rate how you're feeling, right? And so I'm like, man, I'm tired, or I'm frustrated, or I'm happy. But no matter where you were on the scale, the next question was, great, what do you need to do to get 3 notches higher? What can you do? And I want to brainstorm that with you guys right now as you're going out and you're doing your sales appointments, as you're working with clients. The fact is that in sales, you are going to have ups and downs. All right. It's a numbers game. You're going to have great appointments, average ones, crappy ones. You're going to have great call times. You're going to have average ones. You're going to have crappy ones. Right. We know it's all law of averages, and it's a freaking roller coaster. I think it's a fun ass ride, but it is a roller coaster, and it goes up, down, and all around. And so you have to be to succeed at sales. You have to learn how to navigate and manage your emotions, to take the reins of your emotions, to not let your emotions control you, because if you allow them to, they always will. all right? But to be able to be aware and go, oh shit, this is not how I want to be feeling. This is not the type of more I want to be attracting, right? If I'm focused on this, I'm going to attract more of this. And so is this something I want more of? Like, that's a great question to ask yourself, right? With however you're speaking, whatever you're doing, like, is this something I want more of? All right. And if the answer is no, then stop that shit. All right. But if the answer is yes, like, okay, cool. But really doing those internal audits for yourself, right? But let's say you just had let's use, for example, you had a crappy sales call. All right. It just didn't go well. And I have another appointment right after. All right. You cannot go into another appointment without changing your state. Got it? If you go in with the same energy. Now, by the way, positively, it works for us, right? You just sold a complete set or you sold a kitchen, you go to the next demo. What is naturally going to happen when you go to that next appointment? You're freaking fired up. Yeah, Adio is like, yeah, all right, you are fired. You're like, what's up, Miss Jones? How are you? How's your day? Like, you're so excited because of what just happened, right? And so on the positive end, yes, it can absolutely serve us, but we have to understand that it happens, like it's an autopilot thing. Like, without us making the decision, all right, if we're just like an autopilot, whatever's happening, whatever emotions, they always carry into what we do, all right? But now, instead of it being autopilot, I want you guys to be conscious of this, got it? And be able to go, okay, like, I'm super excited, like, hell yeah, I'm bringing that into my next appointment, you know, and again, that'll naturally happen, but being conscious, we want to keep that there. We're not going to ruin that, right? We're like, what's up? How are you? But when the last demo ended on a lower note, okay, for whatever reason that might be, whether it was a no sale or no racks or I don't know, anything, but it just landed on a lower note, that's not how you want to go into every appointment, right? You want to go into every appointment full of energy, excitement, ready to connect. You want to be the highlight of their day, all right? So if I just had a crappy appointment, all right, I can't just go to the next appointment. All right. So every single person, I need to make sure that from now on, you guys are taking at least 1 minute. That's all I'm asking for. All right. You're like, I'm running late. I don't care. 1 more minute is not going to change it. All right. I need you to have at least 1 minute minimum to yourself. Ideally, you get 5, but minimum 1 minute. And you guys tell me, what are some things that you could do in that minute or 5 minutes to help you change your state before you go into your next appointment? Help you be happier, help you be more excited, help you be more fun. Like, what are things? Tell me. There's no wrong answers. What are things that you guys can do? And I'll share
a breathing exercise.
A breathing exercise. Fantastic. What else?
You can dance and do jumping jacks.
Jumping jacks. All right. Did someone say dance? Because that's what I would do.
I dance.
Yeah, for me, like Jocelyn put, I put a song on. All right. I had my Cutco Pump Up playlist, all right, that I had a burn CD made back in the day, 21 years ago. And I would put that in my car and I would be dancing, going to my next appointment, all right? And it was a combination. It was music. Music for me is my number one, like, boom, pick me up, all right? And guys, that's a very powerful, music is very powerful for everybody. That's why music, you know, Thane's a composer, like, it's a big deal when you're doing a movie or you're going into something, like how you put that together, the music behind it creates emotion, right? Like that Jaws sound, you're like, oh shit, something's coming, right? Like there's emotion tied into music. Any of you guys ever been having a bad day? Or, you know, you were just kind of like blah, maybe you're walking through the mall and then a song came on that's like, just totally always puts you in a good spot. And you're like, oh yeah. And it just totally changed your mood. Has that ever happened to anybody? All right. Music has the power to do so much. And so that's an easy one that you guys can have. Do you have a playlist for yourself? Do you have something you can put on when a demo finishes to like pump yourself up? Can you get up and dance for a minute? And then another one that I always used to do anytime I talked to my assistant manager. I didn't do this naturally for myself, but when I was on my PDI call before I went into a demo and I was by chance on the phone with my manager or My best friend Andy would do this all the time with me. I'd be going to run training or something would be happening. I'm like, oh, Andy, I'm like, can you help get me in the zone? He's like, I want you to look in the mirror right now, you know? And he's like, I'd be like, I'm Cathy mother freaking Vasquez, you know, this is 20 years ago before I was a Christian. And I'm like, I'm Cathy mother freaking Vasquez. And he's like, and I, you know, he'd like, tell me what to say. And I'd look at myself in the mirror and pump myself up. Right. And so those affirmations that we were talking about, right. Just, I can do anything good. I'm better than anyone. I love my house. I love my hair. You know, like there is so much power in that. And so that was something that before I went, it's like, I'm going to be the freaking highlight of their day. And that's how I always ended, right? Whatever I said to myself in the mirror, it ended with like, go be the freaking highlight of their day, or I'm going to go be the highlight of their day. It's like, let's go, right? And I went into that appointment with intentionality to go out and be the highlight of their day. All right. And so that's a different way of showing up than like, oh, I just had a crappy demo. Hey, Miss Jones, how are you? You know, and now you're just kind of going through the motions. Like, be intentional about showing up at a level 10, 12, or 15 for every single customer you see, regardless of what happened before. And if you guys do that and you start practicing that, this is not just a Cutco thing. Again, just like the video you saw earlier, right? It's not just about wax the floor, wax the car, paint the fence, you know, or whatever it is. It's not just about that. Like, that's how I relate Cutco. You're like, oh, I'm making calls, I'm selling knives, you know, like, oh, I'm painting a wall, I'm waxing a car. Like, that's not what you're doing. You're learning real freaking skills that are going to serve you for a lifetime. Everyone understand that? All these life skills, the mental toughness, the resilience, the goal setting, the perseverance, the learning how to change your state, the managing your emotions. I mean, I could go on, but getting good at these things, like building those mental and emotional muscles, holy shit, y'all, this will serve you for a lifetime. The greatest are great because they know how to put themselves in state, because they know that what they focus on expands, because they know that when they're intentional, they can create anything they want in their lives. And that's what we want for each and every one of you. And I'm so excited for you guys to continue learning and growing as we go through this alliance here together over these next 2 weeks. We got 2 weeks left of this, and just pumped for y'all. All right. So I'd love to hear just any takeaways from this for you guys, like what comes up, and actually, Spencer, you can pause the recording. I'm going to put you guys, or actually I have the little. I have affirmations. What else? No one watches like funny videos. You know, some people watch like funny TikToks, like that makes them laugh. All right. So we've got music, hang out. We need specific songs, you know, for our push-ups in sunlight, sweet treats. All right. What else? What are your pick-me-ups? What happened, right? And so sometimes, you know, we're like, oh, we feel like we need to have, as humans, we like need something good to happen in order to feel good, right? But we need to feel good in order for good things to happen. Like, if you want to attract and intentionally create more good in your life, it has to come from that space, right? And that higher vibration. So it's this catch-22 sometimes for human, because you're like, man, I need to feel good to attract good things, but I need something good to happen for me to feel good. All right. And so it's conditioning and training yourself to start seeing it as it's already happened, to look forward into the future. Like, I'm so grateful for this coming my way, and resources, and being given all the wisdom and knowledge and tools and people to get to that next level, like, and just focusing more on gratitude. Because if you're doing that, you're going to put yourself in the energetic state that allows you to create at the highest levels and attract more positive things into your life. And again, if you're focused on the things that are not happening, or the negative things that are happening, it's just going to bring more of that. All right. And I can tell you from personal experience, you don't want that. All right. So make a decision to really shift where your focus is, what you're doing, and you're going to attract a lot of incredible things into your life. So we are going to transition into phone time. It is a lunch jam, baby.